Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, there's a lot of things going on out there where we've heard, CLIA has called on the cruise lines, the CDC to let the cruise lines sail, the government to let them sail, the Travel Agents Association of America has also asked them, governors have asked them, everyone's asking them to do it, but there's still those arguments out there that they say, but you know what? Health officials don't agree, and here's why. Well, let's look at some of those arguments. So I look at some of those arguments that are coming out, and so we're all wondering, because we've seen cruising safely start other places in the world. There has been no super spreader events. There have been nothing since they started issuing protocols and following the safety procedures, all the new things that are in place. And so I watched a couple articles, I read a couple articles, I watched a couple news shows, and they always come back to say the same thing. They always say, well, you know what, because cruise ships are an enclosed place where people are eating together and dining together, more chances of spread, etc., etc. Okay, but they've mitigated that. You're dining with the same people every day. You are now socially distanced. They're sterilizing everything. You don't even go to the buffet anymore. So all that stuff has kind of changed. It's not the same way as it used to be. And I saw one that actually said, cruise ships are known spreaders of virus. Just look at the Princess cruise that had over 300 people catch the norovirus on board from that sailing. See, it's the same thing. And I'm going, well, wait a minute. I know that case. I know that ship. That was food poisoning. I think there's a little difference between food poisoning and an infectious airborne disease out there. You kind of got to compare apples to oranges, right? You can't just say, that this is exactly the same thing. Why are you quoting food poisoning? Because I can go to your hospital and say, look, I bet you they've had food poisoning in the last 2 years. Should we shut down your hospital for a year? I don't think anyone's going to do that. So that was like one of the dumbest arguments I heard out there altogether. So I kept reading, and I see some more arguments saying that, case counts are on the rise again in many states, and it's all because of the UK variant and things like that. There's an argument. There's your argument. If you're going by only case counts and more people infected in different age groups, and hospitalizations, there's your only argument. Because right now, the mortality rate is still dropping. Even though cases are on their way back up, the mortality rate is still on its decline, which is kind of the most important segment of this, because the vaccines do not eliminate the virus. The vaccines protect you from the most severe reactions to the virus. You're not going to die from this disease more than likely now if you've had the vaccine. That's the reason for the vaccine. It doesn't really matter if you get sick for a few days, if you have flu-like symptoms for a few days. It does matter if you get lung infections and things like that, right? And mortality. So again, that argument can go both ways because there have been no super spreader events on the cruise lines so far through all the protocols. So in fact, the spread when you look at per capita of all the people who have cruised in the world since the pandemic started is much less than that of on land. Way, way less than that of, like 10 times less than that of on land. So if you're like, when was the last time you saw anyone get tested that was in a restaurant or a movie theater or a theme park or a grocery store or your office? When was the last time you know for sure the person next to you has been vaccinated? Nowhere. But on a cruise ship, that's a thing. So again, that argument, it just doesn't really hold water. It doesn't hold up to scrutiny when you look at it. And then they came out with the final argument that I kept on reading is that because it's a social interaction and people are on the same ship from multiple countries at the same time, it's the opening of super spreader events. And I'm going, wait a minute. I have not yet heard the cruise lines say that our gradual restart in the United States will be open to international cruisers. Has anyone heard that? If they would come and they would say, you know what, we will open up for American-only cruisers for the first 2 months, would anybody bat an eye? Would anybody say, oh, that's it, I'm never cruising again if we can't have people from other countries come and join? No. We would accept that as a natural restriction to getting started. Just like right now, if you want to cruise out of the Caribbean, Bermuda, that area, you have to have a vaccine. And we're accepting that. Some people are saying, oh, we're never going to cruise with them again. Yes, you will, because it's going to be everybody. It's going to be absolutely every cruise line out there eventually is going to have this in place if they're going to restart now. The more and more times that we're looking at it, it seems to be the government requiring this to open. So it's not really what the cruise lines want to do. It's what the governments are forcing them to do to reopen. And the cruise lines are going to do it just to start business, just to try and survive. So my argument there again is, who said anything about opening it up to the world? I have not ever heard that. But they're making that as an argument. Once again, past thinking, never forward thinking, never thinking in the present and what has been done, always thinking about what's been happening in the past. Oh, look, we always have international people on our cruise ships. We're not saying that. Oh, look, they had food poisoning. They gave it to 300 people. We're not thinking that. Nobody on board has ever been tested or vaccinated. No, everybody's going to be tested and vaccinated. So what is your argument then? That's kind of our point. That's what everybody's point has been. What is your argument? And so with all these cruises getting ready to start everywhere else in the world, I mean, the UK is just building up a list of cruise lines like this that are getting ready to sail out of Southampton. And here in the United States, we can't even go from Florida to a private island and back because apparently that will end civilization as we know it in the United States. So I don't understand the logic or the argument against it. There doesn't seem to be facts behind the argument. They keep going back to when everything started, or presumptions. We're going to presume that it's going to be open to international travel. We're going to presume the cruise lines aren't vaccinating the people on board. Maybe they should get their facts straight before coming up with their arguments against this. I tried to keep a very open mind on this. And like I said, if your argument is cases are going up, we have to get the cases start going back down again, that's at least an argument. That's an argument you can have that is based on fact. But all the other arguments I heard, including mortality rates, sickness, amount of people actually getting sick with permanent effects, the spread of the virus, the non-testing, everybody from around the world cruising at the same time, all of that is fiction. And all of that is complete hyperbole that they are just making up. We're making this stuff up just so we can kind of say, I don't think you should do it. And let's be honest, if you're a news organization and you go to a health official and you ask them about opening anything up, should we open Disney World? Should we open a movie theater? Should we open in-house dining? Should we open sports? Every single health official is going to say no. So it's very easy to find somebody to say no, but you got to listen to their reasonings for saying no. And if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. And that's the trouble right now with the CDC. The CDC is looking at it as a doctor, which is great. Safety is great, but they're not looking at actual present day data. They're stuck in the Stone Age of when all this happened, and they got caught with their pants down and didn't know what to do. Remember, it's part of the CDC's. They're the ones who kept the people on the cruise ships in the United States at the beginning. It wasn't the cruise ships that kept the passengers there. It was the CDC who ordered them there. So yeah, it was them who caused all this kerfuffle over the cruise ships. And now it's the cruise ships and the cruise lines and cruise workers and families, and they're the ones paying the price. So again, I do not believe whatsoever the majority of the reasons that they're saying that we can't cruise in the United States. And I think all those cruises starting up everywhere else in the world is going to prove just how wrong they are. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.